Hi, I'm Uli, and today I'm going to share with you a couple of free resources for aspiring doctors. So if you don't know me, my name is Uli. I'm a year 12 student studying in the UK, and I want to be a doctor. So over the last couple of years, I came across quite a lot of different resources, and I thought that maybe I could share with you guys. If you are interested in medicine, then you know that medicine is extremely competitive. You know, when you're looking at universities and you see acceptance rate 1 in 8, that's considered good, which says how stressful it is. The first part of the video is going to be me talking about offline opportunities, how to get work experience offline. The next part is work experience online. There are a lot of different things that I used. Then I'm going to walk you through the way I structure my calls and emails when I reach out to someone about work experience. And finally, a couple of other ways that you can gain knowledge about the medical career. So how do you find work experience offline? I know that it's COVID right now, so at this exact moment you can't find work experience online. All of the work experience programs are closed, but hopefully this will be gone by summer. So the first tip is get involved in as many things as you can. For example, the only hospital work experience I had was the one that I had in year 10. It was a partnership of my school with another hospital in Bristol. We had to write a cover letter and explain why we should be selected, and like 10 people wanted to do it in our year, but only me and another person got it. And later on, the person that was choosing who is going to get the work experience, I asked him why me, and he said that, actually, like, of course your essay was great, but a lot of other people had amazing essays too. And he said it's because earlier that week when he was choosing the people, me and that other girl who got chosen, we went to a care home for like a volunteering activity type of thing, and we didn't know that this would like in any way impact us being chosen. But it's because we showed the interest in medicine and like the willingness to give up a day to go into the care home and like look at the different volunteering opportunities. That showed the teacher that we're really interested in medicine. We actually want to do it. So just get involved in as many things as you can, and this will not only expose you to more opportunities, but it will also show the teachers that you are actually serious about a career in medicine. The next tip is use your unfair advantages. If you have a relative or a friend who's a doctor, don't be afraid to ask them to shadow them or like ask them a couple of questions about their career. I know a lot of people out there who are just like, oh yeah, my dad is a doctor, my mom is a doctor, but I feel kind of bad asking for work experience because like a lot of other people don't have that possibility. It doesn't matter where you got the work experience from. It's clinical exposure. It's good in any way, so why not use it, The next tip is be proactive. You have to ask anyone and everyone that you meet for work experience or to ask questions or for advice, like literally anyone. And the key is you will get rejected when you ask, and it's normal. If you go out to 100 hospitals and you ask them for work experience, 98 of them will say no, but if you give up after 50, then you might not reach the 2 that might say yes. When it comes to applications, apply anywhere. If you go to some kind of medical conference and there's a doctor there and he works nearby where you live, just be like, oh, would you mind if I asked you a couple of questions about your career? Or could I please maybe, like, do you offer some kind of shadowing and work experience? Or do you have any tips on how to gain work experience? And then where was I? My next tip is call rather than email if that's an option. I had like a whole spreadsheet of all the hospitals 2 hours away from my school and 2 hours away from where my parents live. So I just emailed all of these hospitals. 90% didn't even reply. Like, I don't know if they read my email, if they even received it, but they didn't reply. But then I started calling hospitals because quite often they have a number. If they don't have like an HR type of person, I would call the reception and be like, oh, could I please speak to someone about like an opportunity for work experience or volunteering? And then they would redirect me to a person that wasn't explicitly mentioned on their website. And that's just another way to filter out the people, because a massive hospital like University Hospital in London, and of course everyone in London who does medicine wants to do some work experience there or volunteer there, if they put like a phone number or an email on the hospital explicitly for people who want to do work experience, then they will get like 300 responses. But if they don't, then that means to get to that person, you have to call the reception, you have to be proactive, you have to explain what you want. That filters out quite a lot of people. I would definitely call rather than email because they can't really not reply. So my next tip is be very structured when you ask for work experience. For me, it was really frustrating when I emailed them and I wrote this entire essay and I was like, can you please like give me a couple of days of work experience? Like, it would mean a world to me, and they wouldn't even reply. And I'm just like, I spent all of my English language ability that I don't have much of on this email and you didn't even reply. Come on. But then I realized that they don't really want work experience students. Like, you have to realize that we are a burden to them, and of course they want to teach the new new generation of doctors and they want to make sure that we are happy and well trained, but a random tail just following them around is annoying. When you ask, you have to be compassionate and realize that if they say no, then like it's their choice. Like, quite frankly, you're quite annoying because you're not helpful, because you know, when you're a student, you're 10, you're 11, you're 12, you don't know anything, you can't really help except for like, you know, when they say, oh, can you go grab a syringe? Like that's most that I did in my year 10 work experience. She was like, can you go grab a syringe from this rolling out thingy? And I'm just like, what syringe? And she's like, with the red handle. And I opened there are like 3 different syringes with red handles, so I got one of each. But like, we're really not helpful. Like, it would have been faster for her to just go get it herself, or like ask a volunteer or a nurse. It's okay if they reject you. And the final tip is use Medify. It's an online platform that has like a lot of question banks for UCAT, but I'm not talking about UCAT right now. If you go on their website, there's a work experience like folder thing, and it will direct you to like a whole map of all of the official work experience placements in the UK. You can like zoom in and out and check the places around you, and you can press on the different hospitals, and it provides like, what do you need to do, what is the acceptance range of like age, the email, the phone number, when is the application open, when does it close, how long is the statement, and you can press on the link on the website, and then you can just read even more on the website of the hospital, and it's completely free. You don't have to pay, so it's a really nice resource. All right, now since it's locked down, onto how to find work experience online. So there are a lot of work experience opportunities which I think a lot of you have heard of. For example, the Brighton and Sussex Medical School. I've done that. It was pretty nice. It is not comparable to an in-person hospital work experience. So even though right now a lot of universities are saying that it's okay if you don't have in-person work experience, but I still think that you should do your best to try and find some, maybe in between the lockdowns or after the lockdown, or just like somehow. Because for me, I was really interested in medicine since like year 8 or year 9, but then in year 10, once I applied to that work experience placement and I went for those 4 days, that's when I really realized that medicine is like the dream for me. That's when my dream became a goal and it's like really solidified. So I think in-person work experience cannot be replaced by things like Observe GP or Brighton and Sussex Medical School. Like, you should still do them because it's good for university and like expand your knowledge, but I don't think that it in any way replaces in-person work experience. These two are the ones that like everyone does. Observe GP is quite good. They have these like videos of GP consultations with questions that you can test yourself on after the sessions, so these are really great. The next one is, I haven't heard many people talking about it, but it's called the Med School Coach Virtual Clinical Education. It's not official work experience, and it is from America, and the main problem with this is that the healthcare system in America and in the UK is really, really different. But there are a lot of webinars from doctors, and I still think that medicine is the same everywhere. You know, maybe the system is different, but the actual medicine is the same, and there are a lot of surgeons there and like pediatricians, and it's just a wonderful resource. I watch it mainly for motivation because the doctors that present in these webinars, they're super motivated, and it motivates me so much to just watch them, and it's free as well. Since all of these virtual work experience are basically webinars, there are other webinars that you can watch, and these aren't really directly for work experience, but the main reason why universities want work experience is because, one, they want you to realize what medicine is actually about so that you know what you're getting yourself into. They also want you to show that you're proactive and you're ready to find these things that not everyone has. So it's like, if everyone has done Observe GP, like 90% of all aspiring doctors have done Observe GP, then that doesn't really make you stand out. But if you've done something like the Med School Coach that I haven't heard anyone speak of, like I've never heard of it anywhere, it shows that you're now a little bit more interested and proactive. So some of the alternative webinars. There are a lot of free webinars on the Medic portal, and they explain it very well and they structure it very well. And there's always like a Q&A thing where you can ask questions from real doctors, which is an amazing resource. Then there's the Royal Society of Medicine. They have quite a lot of live webinars about applying to medicine, BMAT versus UCAT, or like interview prep. They have quite a lot of really good webinars, and they're free as well. Education projects. These are some of my favorite webinars. I love their webinars. I think they have one every 2 weeks, so just go on their website. And they also have recordings of their past webinars, and I don't watch every single one of them, but the ones that I think are useful and interesting, they're great. Like the way they're organized, the Q&A, the speakers are always, it's really high quality, and it's completely free, and you can always watch the recording back. And also, these are just some of the examples that I use, but if you just go and Google and search search medical school webinars or like medicine webinars, you will get a ton. So I can't guarantee that they all would be amazing and really useful and well organized, but there will be a lot. So a couple of tips with online work experience. When you click into different medicine application related websites, this thing pops up quite often and it's like, sign up to our newsletter. I always used to think that it's like spam and it's not useful at all. But then I started signing up to these and oh my gosh, a third of all the resources, or maybe even a half of all the resources that I'm talking about in this video are from the newsletters. The next tip is this platform called UniBuddy. So UniBuddy is basically just a free website and you can go in it and you can search for buddies from universities, hence the name. You essentially just search what course you're doing and you get different students from different universities and you can reach out to them and ask any questions that you have. It's how I structure my calls/emails. The key thing here is to not write a massive long essay explaining how when you were 7 your grandfather died from cancer and it was a devastating event to witness, and it just struck me and it surprised me so much that I decided that medicine is the career for me. It's important and I'm sure that these stories are extremely important, but within like the medicine application type of niche, everyone makes jokes about sob stories and it's like a sob story that everyone has and they're just like, yeah, when I was 5 my mother passed away from leukemia, and it struck me how nothing else matters before your health, and I just thought that being a doctor would help me save so many lives and I can give back to the people that helped me and that helped my mom before she passed away. Like, I'm sure that these stories are really personal to you and this may be the real reason why I want to do it, but almost everyone has them, so just maybe keep them to yourself and not write it in the emails. So with call, you don't have to copy me. I would say something like, hello, my name is Juliana. I'm a sixth form student and I was wondering if I could speak to someone about a potential work experience or volunteering opportunity. I would only take a couple of minutes. And they would probably redirect you to someone and then you can just be like, oh, hi, I'm really interested in medicine and I was wondering if I could maybe come into the hospital for a couple of days to just like observe it. Really short, really snappy, get to the point. They don't have much time. But if you're calling directly a doctor, which is quite often the case in like GP surgeries, then just be like, oh, I was wondering if I could ask you a couple of questions that would only take a couple of minutes. So firstly, get to know the doctor a little bit, like build some rapport, as they say, and then ask for work experience. So the way that actually me and my other friend, we have a work experience that we were supposed to do at the end of year 11, but then COVID happened. How that happened was just basically we had like a conference we had to go to, and while there was a conference outside of the school, there was like a fair inside the school, and there was a doctor at that fair. So we went and we weren't able to make it to the fair, so we went like 5 minutes earlier before the conference just to check if the doctor was there. And we came and like there was almost no one at the fair yet because it hasn't opened yet, but the doctor was there. He was an orthopedic surgeon, by the way. And so we were like, oh, so how is it? What is like being an orthopedic surgeon? What's your favorite part about medicine? And then the questions slowly got into the application process and we were just like, so do you think work experience is important? Do you have any tips to get work experience? And then eventually the tips, and then we were just like, oh, so do you offer work experience? And then he was like, oh, actually, yeah, I do, and I can actually like link you up to one of my anesthesiologist friends. The thing is, some other people from my school came to that doctor at that same fair and asked the same question. He said no. So just go a bit earlier, be a bit nicer, be a bit more compassionate, understanding. They don't want 20 work experience students, and it should all work out great. All right, now on to the other ways that you can learn about medicine. YouTube is a great resource. Again, it's free videos, and my favorite medicine YouTubers that talk quite a lot about their life are Karma Medic, Ali Abdal. Right now, he moved away from the medicine niche, but earlier on, he had quite a lot of vlogs of him from the hospital as a junior doctor. And he also has quite a lot of reflection videos where he reflects about medicine and what it's like. So definitely check those out. And then there's Rachel Southard. She is from America again, but she does like weekly vlogs of what it's like to be a medical student. It seems like she really captures the positives and the negatives, and she's a lovely person, so definitely recommend her. And then That Medic is a great YouTube channel. He's extremely underrated. He only has like 20,000 subscribers, and for what he does, he deserves way more than that. He's a great YouTube video creator, and he is actually a core surgical trainee in London right now, and you can really see what it's like being a surgeon. Podcasts, I know there are quite a lot of podcasts with like medical students and doctors and stuff, and they just chat about life, but for me these aren't like really interesting, and I don't want them to be a chore, because normally I'm listening to podcasts when I'm like skating around or like running or tidying up, and I want it to be something that's fun, because I always have to choose between listening to a podcast and listening to my favorite music playlist, so it has to be almost as enjoyable as music. And my favorite one by far is called Medical Mysteries, and in each episode they just kind of uncover different medical mysteries, things like a girl who was allergic to water, or the girl who was was toxic and like all the doctors around her became sick. These are really interesting, and if you mention them in the interview, then it really shows that you're actually interested. Then of course books, I couldn't just not mention the books. My favorite two medical books are Unnatural Causes by Dr. Shephard. This book is one of my favorite, not even in just medicine, like genuinely. I learned so much from it. It's so humane. He's a criminal pathologist, but pathology, and it's something that I didn't really consider for myself because I like working with people who are alive, but he really debunks a lot of myths about pathology as well. And then my second favorite book is Complications by Dr. Atul Gawande. He wrote quite a lot of books, and I think the one that's most popular by him is actually Being Mortal. I read both of them, but I like Complications more. It's about surgery as well, and I'm really interested in surgeries. It has a lot of really funny stories and really funny cases, but also a lot of things to think about. Then there are also a lot of free online courses on edX and Coursera, and they're called MOOCs. I really recommend checking them out as well. When it was the first lockdown and after GCSEs were cancelled, I had like a ton of time. So I was studying for my driving theory, but also I did two courses. I did one on anatomy and I did one on vaccines. And you know, they're both really prevalent right now. The anatomy one actually sparked my interest in surgery and anatomy. That's what gave me the idea of doing BIOS, which is an exhibition that I did with my friend like a couple of months ago, which is like the similarities between human nature and anatomy, and we were both into photography, so that was a really fun experience. And we also raised some money for the brain charity. Even though the exhibition is closed right now, you can view the catalog, so I definitely recommend checking that out. And then the final resource that I used quite a lot is called the Medic Player, and it's basically like medical YouTube. It's free for the first month, but then you have to pay £5 per month. I just keep changing my email addresses. It has quite a lot of cool videos about like different word rounds or like different situations that can happen with patients, and like live dissections, which is so cool. You know, you got the idea. I'm super interested in anatomy and all of those things, so live dissections, they're so cool. That's the end of the video. I talked for 35 minutes, but hopefully you found it useful. And if you take away one idea from this video, is to put yourself out there as much as you can and be ready to get rejected. There would be someone that will accept you and that will actually allow you and take you in, but you have to put yourself out there to find that one hospital or place. And also, like as an outro, when I started work experience in year 10, no one told me this, unfortunately, but take notes. Everything, your feelings, your thoughts, like literally anything. It will be so useful when it comes to reflections and personal statement and interviews, because universities don't really care about the fact that you did work experience. They care about your thoughts and your reflections and your ideas about the work experience. So really take notes, and you should really use Notion for that. If you got to the end, then thank you so much. As always, you can follow my Instagram, even though I don't really post anything on there, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye bye. Wait, am I not in the middle of the camera? Jesus, what is this here? It's just sad at this point.